Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a truly fascinating, cinematic, and honestly, high-stakes mathematical system that secretly powers the entire global oil trade. We are talking about the Worldscale Code. It's this beautifully structured piece of logistical architecture, and I am incredibly excited to guide you through exactly how it works.
I want you to picture this. It's a scene straight out of a blockbuster movie. You've got these massive supertankers gleaming under the sun, loaded up with millions of barrels of crude oil, and they are launching into the vast ocean. But here's the dramatic twist. They very often leave port without a final destination. Because the oil market is just so fast-paced, that exact cargo might be bought and sold several times while the ship is literally mid-ocean. So it begs the question, how on earth do you price a journey when you don't even know where the ship is going to drop its cargo? Well, you need a universal mathematical code to survive the trip.
Act 1. The Chaos and the Code. Let's get right into it. To tame that kind of chaos, the sheer scale of the solution has to be staggering. And it is. Just look at this number, 70,000. Every single year, the Worldscale associations in London and New York publish this massive book containing an awe-inspiring 70,000 precise voyage rates. These rates let you instantly calculate ocean freight between almost any two ports on the planet. And hey, if your specific route somehow isn't in there, you literally just write to the association and they generate it for you. It's this comprehensive, living matrix of global trade.
So where did this all start? Let's trace it back to its origins, because the history is just as compelling as the math. During World War II, the British and U.S. governments requisitioned tankers and paid the owners on a time charter basis. Now, when governments sublet those ships to oil companies for specific voyages, they desperately needed a way to guarantee the exact same daily net return, regardless of where the ship actually went. That wartime necessity evolved over time. It went through fragmented regional scales in the 1950s, finally unified into the joint world scale in 1969, and then became the sleek, modern, new world scale system in 1989.
Moving on to Act 2. Meet the standard vessel. Here's the thing. You can't just compare some tiny coastal boat to a massive ocean leviathan directly, right? So the code relies on a theoretical, mathematical protagonist. We call it the standard ship. Picture this vessel in your head. It has very specific specs. We're talking a 75,000-ton capacity, an average speed of 14.5 knots, burning exactly 55 tons of fuel a day, with exactly 4 days allotted for port time. By anchoring all 70,000 of those rates to this exact mathematical phantom, the system guarantees owners the exact same daily time charter return, no matter where in the world the cargo is finally dropped.
Now, why do we absolutely need this baseline to be so incredibly precise? Well, because this market is pure adrenaline. Fixtures, the actual shipping contracts, may be concluded within a matter of minutes. We're talking multi-million-dollar cargoes being negotiated, sold, and redirected mid-ocean in an absolute flash. Think about it. A charterer might load in Singapore with the option to discharge anywhere on the east coast of India. The shipowner agrees instantly because they know, thanks to that standard baseline, their financial return is bulletproof regardless of the final port.
Which brings us to Act 3, the math of the seas.
What's really wild is how wonderfully simple this code is to actually decipher in the heat of a high-stakes deal. Step 1, you look up the published flat rate in the book. That flat rate represents exactly 100% of the cost for the standard vessel, which the industry calls Worldscale 100 or WS 100. Step 2, the market negotiates a percentage based on real-world supply and demand. So if ships are scarce, they might agree on WS 250, meaning 250% of the flat rate. If there are way too many ships, it might drop to WS 80 or 80%. Finally, step 3, you just multiply that negotiated percentage by the flat rate. Boom, you have your total freight cost instantly.
But wait, what happens in hyper-dense loading areas like the Arabian Gulf, where there are dozens of terminals? The code brilliantly uses central pivot points. Take Quine Island, for example, sitting right there strategically at the entrance of the Gulf. Instead of publishing millions of separate rates from every single terminal in the Gulf to every port in the world, the book gives you the rate from your specific terminal to Quine Island, and then the rate from Quine Island to your ultimate destination. It basically acts as a mathematical checkpoint to instantly lock in complex rates. It is such an incredibly elegant shortcut.
Act 4. Navigating global differentials. Now, obviously, a high-speed global mission isn't a perfect straight line. Real-world shipping hits real-world obstacles, and the code categorizes these extra fees brilliantly into two types.
First up, we have variable differentials. These handle your mid-mission changes, like if the ship suddenly has to stop at an extra port, or if port charges fluctuate based on whether the ship is carrying crude versus a refined product. Then we have fixed differentials. These tackle the unavoidable tolls, things like canal transit fees or specific national port dues that are levied no matter what.
Let's look at a truly cinematic bottleneck, the Suez Canal. Navigating this introduces an entire matrix of fixed costs. The Worldscale system actually has to account for the vessel's specific Suez Canal net tonnage, whether it's carrying crude or products, whether it's full of cargo or sailing empty in ballast, and of course, the total deadweight. The code absorbs all of this tremendous complexity, providing standardized lump sums and per tonnage fees. This means the charterer and owner know exactly how to adjust the final freight bill without ever having to slow down their negotiation.
And finally, Act 5, the voyage estimate and AFRA. So how do all these lightning-fast individual calculations scale up to actually run the global economy? Enter AFRA, the Average Freight Rate Assessments. This represents the historical, weighted average cost of commercially chartered tonnage operating worldwide. Compiled by the London Tanker Brokers Panel, AFRA tracks all these moving pieces we've been discussing. It's the overarching system that takes thousands of individual world-scale fixtures and converts them into a unified average cost. It is so incredibly reliable that various international taxation authorities actually use AFRA as the official baseline for assessing transportation costs for intercompany oil movements.
Just look at the sheer, immense scope of what AFRA tracks here. It categorizes literally every single active commercial vessel into 6 distinct size groups. It tracks the nimble, general-purpose boats at 16,000 tons, all the way up through the medium and large ranges, right up to the very large crude carriers, and finally, the absolute cinematic leviathans of the sea, the ultra-large crude carriers, boasting capacities of 320,000 to over 500,000 tons. Every ship, no matter its size, is brought back to the world-scale equivalent, so the global market speaks one unified mathematical language. It is, without a doubt, a masterpiece of dynamic logistics. So, I'll leave you with this final thought to ponder. The next time you see a massive ship on the horizon, or honestly, even just fill up your own tank at the gas station, ask yourself, what invisible calculations brought that fuel across the world to you? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, and I'll catch you on the next one.